A Richmond charity trying to invest in the community now forced to invest in a legal battle instead.
A community activist is accusing a local venue of charging him taxes he wasn't supposed to pay and then pocketing them. And that's not all. 8 News reporter Nicole Dantzler is live in the Digital Center to tell us how the fallout started and what's happening next. Nicole.
Well, Eric, Deanna, the Woody Foundation has held more than a dozen events each year at the Military Retirees Club in Richmond for the past 10 years. The charity raises money to give families Christmas gifts, feed people who experience homelessness, and help those who are forced out of their homes after a fire. But a fallout between the charity and the club venue over the alleged misappropriation of thousands of dollars in admissions tax money and more led to this lawsuit. The Woody Foundation is suing the Military Retirees Club for allegedly pocketing admissions tax money, banning the charity from holding future events, and illegally serving alcohol to the public with the charity's ABC license. Christopher Woody is the founder of the foundation.
I try to partner with different organizations here in the city to help them also.
Most, if not all, of the foundation's events have happened at the Military Retirees Club for the past 10 years. But the relationship turned sour in early 2022 after a friend informed Woody his foundation shouldn't have to pay admissions taxes. Woody says he looked into it and found out the friend was right. He points to this email obtained by 8 News where city officials told Woody that charity events that accept donations rather than charging an admission are not subject to admissions taxes. In the lawsuit, Woody says he paid about 7% of each event's estimated revenue in admissions taxes. That 7% usually equaled between $250 to $500 per event, a total of some $30,000 over the years. He says the club was supposed to pay that tax to the city on the foundation's behalf, according to their contract. However, Woody says when he checked, the city had no record of admission taxes paid on the foundation's behalf.
It made me feel a little upset, not knowing that I entrusted them with that money to pay on behalf of the foundation, and nothing was there. When I asked to go see all the admission tax that was paid on behalf of the foundation, there was no record of any funds being submitted.
Woody says although he sent proof to the Military Retirees Club that going forward he didn't have to pay the admissions tax, club management told him if he didn't continue to pay it, they wouldn't allow him to hold any more events there.
They barred me. I had to move my events to smaller locations, canceling and losing funds from previous contracts I had with artists coming here.
The lawsuit filed in April of 2022 specifically mentions an event the Woody Foundation was to have at the club in February. Woody says he found out he was banned from the event when he showed up to set up because of the ongoing admissions tax dispute. He says he then pulled his ABC license from the event, which would have prevented the sale of alcohol there, effectively canceling it. But Woody says instead of canceling the foundation's event, club management reprinted his license from a previous email and kept the event going, alcohol and all. 8 News received a statement from the club's legal counsel which says in part, "Our clients categorically deny the allegations as they lack merit, and we look forward to the matter being resolved in the City of Richmond Circuit Court in favor of the Military Retirees Club." In court documents, the president and vice president of the Military Retirees Club strongly deny Woody's claims, saying their contracts were with Christopher Woody, not the Woody Foundation. You can take a deeper dive into this lawsuit and all the documents associated with it on our website, WRIC.com. Live in the Digital Center, Nicole Dantzler, 8 News.